Hello, my name is Tomasz Kosensky. What I'm sitting on right now is called a bedenek here in the countryside. Maybe that's why Czech villages look the way they do. I wouldn't use this to fill my own pit. Why am I talking about this? You think sand is sand, but that's not true, especially when we're talking about sandblasting. A pile like this is tempting. There's a lot of it, and it's cheap. But I don't think you could use it even in a sandblaster with a fire hose, let alone in a tiny one like this, which has a nozzle with an opening of just 0.5 millimeter. For that, you need a completely different abrasive. The mini sandblaster set includes, besides the sandblaster itself, which really is about the size of a pencil and is held and operated in a similar way, a 2-meter pressure hose, and also a little holder that you can screw above your workspace to rest the sandblasting gun in when you're not using it. You'll also find a respirator in the package. It's a really basic one. I recommend using some kind of respiratory protection because the sand or abrasive is so fine that it's more like powder, and you could easily breathe it in, which is definitely not good for you. And so I don't forget, the sandblaster set also comes with this starter pack of abrasive. There's 150 grams of it. But once you run out of this pack, it's no problem to buy more, even by the kilo. I call it a kilo for a kilo, because a kilogram of this abrasive costs about 100 crowns. Personally, I have a bit of experience with this kind of injector sandblasting gun, which is already suitable for medium-sized projects. However, it does require a slightly coarser abrasive and, above all, a really powerful compressor that delivers about 300 liters of air per minute. That's quite a lot, actually. And a compressor like that, to be good enough and able to run continuously so you don't have to keep stopping your work, costs around 40,000 crowns. And the absolute best thing about this mini sandblaster is that you don't need any powerful compressor for it at all. This little guy, an airbrush compressor, is all you need. This one here is actually really high quality. And what's great about it is that it's completely silent. It's perfect for this kind of home sandblasting. Of course, you can also use a big workshop compressor to work with the mini sandblaster. Just be careful. You have to reduce the pressure to a maximum of 4.5 bars. And of course, you'll also need to manage to connect this tiny hose to your big compressor, which probably isn't a big deal with the right adapter. You're probably wondering what a mini sandblaster like this is actually good for. Well, it's really meant for the smallest scale jobs, like engraving or cleaning jewelry. It's also very useful for model makers, or you can use it to remove paint, for example. It's not called an air eraser for nothing. So basically, it's like a kind of eraser, but you can also use it to sandblast glass, for example. Of course, it works on metal too, and on any other material, like wood and so on. Personally, I'd like to try sandblasting a shape like this. I once had a friend cut out a stencil for me with a laser, planning to burn contours into wood. That didn't really work out for me, so now I want to see if maybe using this sandblaster would be any better. I wanted to do this on wood, or more precisely, on lacquered wood, so we'll see how it goes. We can also try it on other surfaces. And I'm also curious to see how sandblasting glass will work. For the glass, I want to try a simple shape, maybe just a stripe. I'll mask off the rest with tape, and I'll try to sandblast the area between the tape. On leather, it doesn't do anything at all, while on a fingernail, it leaves a mark right away. It's the same on some hard object. Yeah, you see, there's an engraved mark there immediately. So what follows from this is that this mini sandblaster isn't really ideal for working with wood or lacquered wood. The work would be extremely slow, and the effect just isn't quite there. Whereas if we're working with metal or glass, anything hard, it'll be much more effective. Anyway, let's try it out now. I wasn't able to sandblast the silhouette of my house onto a wooden board, but I think it'll work pretty well on a glass pane, so I'll get my wish after all. It's actually the same technique that's used to sandblast things like car windows. We can attach the stencil to the glass with double-sided tape, and then we'll start sandblasting. This way, I can sandblast the windows on my whole house, and no one will steal it from me anymore. So to sum up, with this mini sandblaster, you can really do some intricate work. You can engrave with great precision, you can write with it, and the line it makes is very tiny. One more little tip. I used a stainless steel tub for sandblasting, basically some kind of roasting pan or whatever it is, so I could at least catch some of the abrasive. The material you catch in the tub can, in theory, be recycled. That means you can pour it back in and use it again, even several times. So I'm really glad I got to try out the mini sandblaster, because sandblasting is a really interesting topic, and I think I'll definitely come back to it in the future, even if in a different form. And as for these tiny things, I also want to try out an airbrush, so you can look forward to another video about that. For now, I want to say goodbye and wish you lots of fun with your own sandblasting.